All right, future CPAs. Let's talk about a topic that trips a lot of people up on the LE Kappa: amortization of intangibles. Think of this as your brain hack, a high retention guide designed to make this stuff actually stick for the big day. Okay, let's jump right in. Picture this. You're in the exam, heart's pounding, and you get a question about a new software patent. What's the very first number that should instantly pop into your head for its residual value? That's it. 0. If you walk away with only one thing today, it has to be this. This is the magic number, the automatic starting point for pretty much any intangible asset question you're going to face. Burn it into your brain. So let's unpack why 0 is your default answer. This isn't just some random tip I'm giving you. It's what I call the golden rule. And understanding this rule is the key to unlocking these questions and getting those precious points. See, this isn't my opinion. This comes straight from the top, from International Accounting Standard 38. This isn't a suggestion. It's basically a command. So when you're in an exam and you start to doubt yourself, remember this rule is your ultimate safety net. The standard says, assume 0. But hang on a second. Before we even get to use that golden rule, we've got to ask a more fundamental question. Are we even supposed to be amortizing this thing in the first place? And that all comes down to its useful life. This is your first major decision point. You have to figure out if there's a clear end in sight for how long this asset is going to make money for the company. The answer you come up with here, it literally dictates the entire accounting path you're about to go down. So here's the deal. We only amortize stuff that has a finite, useful life. If it has an indefinite life, meaning you can't see an end to it, you don't amortize it at all. You just check it for impairment each year. So for everything we're talking about today, we are laser focused on that left column. That's our world. And figuring out the useful life isn't just a wild guess. You have to be a bit of a detective. You look at everything. Like a patent might be legally good for 20 years, but if you know a new technology is going to make it useless in 5, well, then its useful life is 5 years. You got to consider all of it. Okay, so you've confirmed it's got a finite life. Check. Your next mission is to figure out the how. How are we going to spread that cost out over its life? And that brings us to the amortization method. I mean, the definition is pretty straightforward. The easiest way to think about it, amortization is just depreciation for assets that you can't physically touch. Same idea, different name. We're just spreading the cost out over the time it's giving us benefits. Now this is a total lifesaver on an exam. The rule says to pick a method that mirrors how the asset's value is used up. But, and this is a huge but, it also says if you can't figure that pattern out for sure, you just default to the straight line method. That's a massive hint for any exam question. When in doubt, go straight line. Whoa, okay, watch out for this one. This is a classic exam trap. The standards are super clear that basing amortization on revenue is almost always wrong. Why? Well, because revenue is affected by a ton of other things, like your marketing budget or inflation, that have zero to do with the asset itself. So unless a problem practically screams at you to do it, just stay away from this method. All right, let's bring it all full circle. We've tackled useful life, we've picked our amortization method, now we can go back to our golden rule about residual value and really get into the juicy details. So this is where we start, every single time. Your brain should just be on autopilot at this point. You see intangible asset, finite life, residual value, bam, your mind says 0. It's a reflex. But here's the twist. The rule isn't just 0, it's 0 unless. And the standard gives us just 2 very tiny, very specific escape hatches from that 0 rule. If the exam problem doesn't basically hand you one of these on a silver platter, you just stick with 0. And here they are, the only 2 exceptions. You need to know these by heart. First, is there a legally binding contract with someone else to buy this thing from you when you're done with it? Or second, is there an active market for it and will that market likely still be around? If you can't say a big fat yes to one of those 2 questions, the residual value is 0. Case closed. All right, let's do this. This is your final high retention cram session. Get your phone out, get ready to screenshot the next slide, make flashcards out of it. This is everything we've talked about boiled down for game day. Think of this as your mental roadmap. When you hit an amortization problem on the LECPA, just run down this checklist. It turns what feels like a complicated question into a simple step-by-step process. Default is 0. Is it finite? What's the method? Check for the 2 exceptions. Done. You've got a system. So from now on, you've got a new reflex. The second you see any intangible with a finite life, a patent, a copyright, a franchise, you know exactly where to start. Your default answer is 0. and you don't move off that number unless the problem gives you an undeniable, crystal clear reason to. You've totally got this.